Okay, this one is going to be the first one in a series in relation to dealing with shattering, undoing the shattering from trauma, uh, and also, I guess you could name it shadow work, and then also dealing with, as Richard Grannon calls it, the inner critic. And there'll be people, I'll list it down at the bottom, people that you can watch on YouTube that are very beneficial and helpful. They have a lot of great advice. Richard Grannon philosophy, um, Aaron Duaghty. He has a lot of philosophy, and a lot of it's like hermetic teaching, sort of like the law of attraction. He's like the king of law of attraction. Teal Swan, she does specific shadow work and all other kinds of things too. Kahn, Infinite Waters, uh, the after school academic of ideas, and AliJeh Reik. He's funny and he has a really good topics that he talks about. Okay, I'm gonna start with meditation. There's all kinds of meditations. You can look it up. I'm not going to talk about all of them, but the ones that I used were the mindfulness and then living in the now. There are different styles. To me, the easiest one is using mindfulness. On all of them, the basic idea is to quiet your mind, stop the chatter. With mindfulness, you can turn any action into a meditation. You just focus on anything you are doing and make every step purposeful, or just totally focus on it, like walking, running, sweeping the floor, cleaning the dishes, folding clothes, breathing, taking a shower, brushing your hair, working out. Let me see. You only focus on the movements, almost like a machine. Move your muscles, feel them, uh, steadily doing this, and eventually it'll become really easy, that it'll become a habit. And so it saves you a lot of time throughout the day. You don't have to worry about it. Don't stress. Don't force yourself. So it doesn't become something you dread doing. So you can do 5 minutes here, 2 minutes there, or even a minute. Then at the end of the day, you end up like with an hour or more. If you forget, don't beat yourself up, because then you'll just make it a burden, and then it'll just make it harder for you. Um, don't be critical. So enjoy it until the point eventually it'll be totally natural, and you'll be doing it all the time, and it'll benefit you. And then you'll notice, it'll help you noticing when outside stuff starts influencing you, outside thoughts. And then it makes it easier for you to connect with your guides, your spiritual battle team, which I always say spiritual battle team, because when you say guides or spirit guides, that means it could be any spirit guide. You have to be specific. So I always state my spiritual battle team. And sometimes you could get some like negative spirits. So always state your spiritual battle team. Okay, and also learn, you're going to need to learn discernment, learn the difference between the thought, the words in your head. Just like I said, even what manifesting, what the universe understands is your feeling, not the words that you say. So it's important to recognize, be aware of how you think, how you feel, and then notice when new stuff comes up. So I'll be discussing more of that in the next video. Okay, discernment, learn the difference between the thought, the words in your head, and what you actually feeling. Catch it before it becomes a feeling. So if it's just words, recognize it. So then you could deal with it at that moment. And then I had mentioned before what demons actually are. You can actually create your own demons, pick up other people's demons, and then other entities that we could call demons. Because you can actually just focus. Everything is energy. Your thoughts are energy. And you could sit there and focus on it and focus on it. You actually give it life. And then it starts manifesting your reality. The demons use words, your intuition, your truth. You feel that. Demons can't make you feel, but they can repeat, whisper words till you eventually believe and feel it. And so like even your demons, your spirit, the demons, the angels, you can actually create angels too, angelic stuff, separate from the actual angels. So it's almost like having an angel or demon, on your shoulder. When they do talk to you, they have your voice. And there's even entities, they call them mimics. They mimic your voice. So it sounds like you talking in your head. So that's why you have to know the difference from a thought, a word, instead of like what you're actually feeling. Because if you catch it when it's just a thought, a word in your head, it's way easier to deal with it. Until it gets to the point when it's a feeling, then it takes way more work. Okay, let me repeat that again. Demons can't make you feel, but they can repeat or whisper words till you eventually believe and feel it. It will help you to discriminate which is which. They influence, basically mind control, with repeating or repetition, just how we try to use positive affirmation. We keep repeating the phrases and the words and the ideas till eventually we mind control ourselves to believe it and actually feel it to manifest it. Know yourself so you can tell if it is not you. And also with the manifestation, if you're saying it, but deep down you totally believe like the negative in your reality, depending on if it's way stronger, you might not be able to manifest it because deep down you believe what you see in your 3D reality. Okay. Okay. To try to recognize things you need to work on and aspects. When you get triggered, recognize a negative thought, feeling. If it is not something new, you can, even with the new stuff, but you sit with yourself, like go to a private place, or if you can sit there and block everything out, sit with yourself. And basically what you're going to be doing is time traveling back to when you didn't have this negative feeling, thought, or whisper. Like go back. And most of the time it's going to be when you were a kid. So don't judge. Don't have I think or I feel thoughts. Just feel until like that feeling, that anger or that hatred, just feel following it, the sensations of it till it leads you back and back. Till you see the moment you first felt this way. Most likely you will be a child, a toddler, or an infant. And usually that's the first time you had this traumatic event. And don't get caught up on the event, situation, or analyze it. Your only focus is that aspect of you. Be that which that you needed. Safety, support, comfort. You're being your own hero. Take that you, hug it, hold it, let it know you will never let it go because you are big now. It will never be alone. Be that loving parent that it needed or friend that should have been there. Tell it what you would have wanted to hear and felt. You can even imagine placing that baby in a baby sling on your chest so it'll always be with you. Or even sitting in a park and playing with the child version of you. Sometimes you can have multiple, I guess, insults, versions of you that shattered off. And you could keep on following it. If you still feel it, you could still feel that urge like it's pulling you somewhere else. And it'll even take you to an older version of you. And keep on working with all those versions of you. And like when I did it, it made me cry for a while. To like re-feel that and sit with it until you're ready. And then you speak and you talk to and you comfort that version of you. And some aspects might hide, but you know they are there in the shadows, and that's why it's called shadow work. It's not something dark or anything. It's an aspect of you for some reason. I'll go more into detail in the other videos. For some reason you shunned. Like someone traumatized you, talked down to you, there was an event, someone abused you. And so that part of you, or like, say like you liked art, but your dad was like, art is for pussies. So like you just shut that part of you off and you shoved it off to the side. You never let it come forward. And you were almost like you were embarrassed of it. So you shoved it into the shadows. So that aspect of you, you're bringing it out of the shadows. That's why it's named shadow work. So it's nothing bad or negative. Still talk to it lovingly. Tell them you will always be there for it. And that now you're big and you know better. Now you will never hurt it. It can talk whenever it wants to, that you'll conversate with it. Be what it needs. And tell you always be there for it when it's ready. Don't force it because it knows you are ready. It just needs time to see it can trust you. And I'll go into more detail on that on the next video. And then I started recognizing if I let my aspects come out without judgment, like it's a safe environment, that my aspect is not going to cause any harm to anyone else or myself, I would actually let it come out. And then I'll come more into detail about that on the next video. This is just a short version just to start. Some aspects you will have to rationalize with, make deals, adjustments, but some you might have to be a lot more firm, strong with, like tough love, because some aspects are a little bit more aggressive, more negative. They need to be handled way more firmly. Like there's a couple of my aspects, I know they are very, very dark. And I made a deal with them, like told them I love them and explained, rationalized, and a lot of those parts you can't use empathy, you can't guilt them. You can rationalize with them and use facts. That I would only let them out when it was serious. When it was very, very important. That I explained to them that they were not allowed to like do things like seek revenge. They were only allowed when it was decided, like all the aspects agreed, I agreed, it was a form of protection, and only at that time. And that it was to our benefit to not cause chaos, to not cause harm, and explaining like it could get us in trouble. We could go to jail. We could really hurt someone really bad, that it would just be really messed up for us, and we could receive a lot of punishment. So you have to talk to it that way with facts. And then if it does something wrong, depending on how severe, I deal with them fairly, staying calm, not to make things worse. And sometimes once you start working with all your aspects, there are some aspects, no joke, they will like help you. Like they'll warn you, like another aspect's coming up, or they'll even distract the other aspect, calm the other aspect. And like this probably goes on with you. You just don't realize there are different aspects actually working at the same time. And then also, this is brief, and dealing with stuff like anxiety, nervousness, and certain types of irrational thinking. We're using living in the now, the present moment. You don't like focusing on the past, it causes depression. Focusing on the future causes anxiety. So you would have to also rationalize with that aspect to almost like being a therapist, getting it to focus right now. Like if it has a fear like something's going to happen to it, it's going to get hurt. You tell it, it hasn't happened. We don't know if it's going to happen, but right now nobody's hurting you. And to focus on the now, and you can start small. You can start having small goals like doing 5 minutes, and you handle the 5 minutes, doing it to 10 minutes, then expanding it to an hour, to a couple of hours, or for the day. And so gradually it gets easier and easier. And don't be mad at yourself for like the failures, because what happens every time you do try and you stay calm, the successes last longer and longer and longer. And then the spaces between the failures get bigger. So you just have to stay calm and just focus and just show yourself all aspects of your self-love. So remember, it's simple but complicated.